Dana Ripper. I am the co-founder of the Missouri River Bird Observatory. We do a lot of bird surveys on grasslands and wetlands throughout the state of Missouri and surrounding states.
I'm Steve Klubine. I'm a retired grassland biologist that's now practicing what I preached for 34 years and found it's easier and more profitable than I ever said it would be. This was burned this year, and when you burn one that most of the grazing focuses on the burn, not the unburned on the other side of the trail, and that creates openness on the ground. Notice we got bare ground here and vertical growth, travel lanes for critters to move through.
And fescue acts very, very differently, right?
It's very different because the leaves don't just grow vertically, they grow almost laterally. So the travel lanes are just almost wiped out.
Nothing here co-evolved with fescue. It's not useful to our native wildlife. It is basically impossible for a brood of small quail to get through and to use. And so as in contrast to our bunch grasses and our forbs that are in our native prairies where there's like these little pathways. So our birds need that structure that includes things like bare ground and not a mat of fescue filaments taking up the whole earth.
I bought this 120 acres after I retired, and I converted half of it to native grass, and with the idea that I might lease it for grazing, but then I ended up buying my own stockers. I don't have cow-calf operation. That native grasses had a role in grassland management in Missouri, that they benefited the stock and animals in grazing in the summer, and that it could be profitable.
Overall in North America, we've lost about 30% of our birds in general across the continent. And of that big loss of about a third of our avifauna in North America, grassland birds have been hit the hardest. We've seen losses overall as a guild of prairie birds in the 50% range. So for example, here in the state of Missouri, we had 12 to 14 million acres of native tallgrass prairie. We now have less than 60,000 acres of unplowed prairie. That alone, you're of course going to dramatically reduce numbers because you've reduced habitat to less than 1% of what it originally was. But producers like Steve and these folks that are really trying to restore our prairies while making a living and therefore like making it long-term feasible, that is a hopeful thing.
It's nice to be able to do something that benefits all those flora and fauna of grasslands. There's 40 or 50 species of plants that grow here, from flowering plants. They're good for pollinators, but also produce seeds and insects for wildlife. One fella said at the sale barn one day to me, he said, "How can you graze that grass only 3 or 4 months out of the year?" I said, "Because I can make in 4 months what takes you all year to gain on fescue." So it's a win-win thing in that respect.